Good morning, friends. It's been a while. I figured today is a slow start Sunday. And when I was back in Chicago, I really loved the Sunday mornings where I was able just to take my time and settle into the day. I haven't had many of those here in LA because I haven't really been home, and we have so much to catch up on. So we are back. Welcome to the channel. If you are new here, I'm so glad you're on my cord on the internet. And we're just gonna hang out a bit of today, catching up. All right, friends, I had to pull it together really quick because I was raised in a household where you did not leave the house looking a mess. And although I'm in my house, I am on the internet. And although I didn't look a mess, I was like, girl, that first braid overnight takeout situation was a little wild. But now I'm ready for the day, which I love. I have my coffee, just slicked my hair back a bit. Didn't add any crazy product. I've been trying this new flyaway stick from Briogeo. I believe that's the name of it. I'm really liking it. And I just have all the leave-in things that are still in my hair. Just did a really nice light, no makeup look. Refresh the brows, add a little bit of mascara and some cream blush from Westman Atelier. Love all their products. Coffee in hand. And I realized, y'all, since the last time we chatted, I did not do an apartment tour, which honestly, I'm not gonna do fully. I have just heard some unfortunate stories with people sharing their homes. Not with the commentary, just a little bit too invasive for me. So y'all will see corners as these videos go by. So I'm not gonna do a full walkthrough, but this is my living room. I'm going to enjoy my coffee. I have my church service that I watch every Wednesday. The pastor that I first started going to when I was in college in Knoxville, Tennessee at the University of Tennessee. I'm blanking. Severe Heights with Pastor, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. I see his face. Tim Miller. So what I love about Severe Heights is they stream their services to YouTube. So I always catch the first service. I'm going to enjoy my coffee. I'm going to sit and journal. Then I'll get ready for the day. We're going to have a little bit of a day together before we do a full catch up. So just enjoy hanging out, watching along, and we'll chat in a bit. We are dressed and ready to run some errands. Two major stops. One at a stationery store downtown called Hiiii. I would like to find a glue stick, but not a traditional Elmer's glue stick, the ones you use for journaling and stationery things. Maybe a fountain pen, we'll see. And then I need to go furniture shopping. I do not have a couch. And I've been here going on 2 months. I sold my couch before I came to LA. I didn't think it would make the turn where I live, and I was correct. So I'm looking for a couch. I have already gone to West Elm, Crate and Barrel, Cozy, Sundays. I love Sundays Furniture. They're a Canadian-based furniture company. They're just really expensive, $3 grand for a couch. I know it's an investment piece, but still. I'm going to go to Joybird today. They have some sales going on. I've heard good things about their furniture. If not, the one I like the most at this point, the one at West Elm was really nice. I do need a modular piece, so let's see what we can find. And then from there, that might be it. I don't know, but we'll see what we get into before we have a little catch up. dare I say, we may have found a couch. The Joybird Bryant collection is really nice. It's deep, it's plush, but it's not too soft. It's quite comfortable, and the two colors, it's like this chocolate performance fabric and a boucle, which I love. I used to have a boucle couch in my old apartment. I just love how it gets a little two-tone, a little texture, a little personality. And they have some stuff on sale right now, so I'm gonna take a look to see what's on sale. Right across the street is the stationery place I was looking to go to. Went all the way around. All right, friends, we are back home. Now it's time to yap. And yes, I'm having my second coffee of the day. I'll tell you, couch shopping. And for those of you who've really gotten into it, I mean, gotten into it, doing the research, going to the store, sitting down, checking out the swatches, it takes a lot out of you. So this one's really hitting. And just to show y'all the couch research I've been doing, I've gone to several stores, and then we'll get into the app. First place I went to was West Elm. I saw a modular couch there. I cannot remember the name of the couch that I saw, but these are, the lounge couch. These are the two swatches I picked up, the two colors. I can't decide if I want to be a basic beige millennial or be a basic bold millennial with the chocolate brown couch, which I just would really love in this place. I think it would warm it up since everything in my apartment is already, I feel like, a shade of white. My trimmings are white. The walls are like this grayish blue, but with white undertones. So this feels like it would look really nice in here. My floors are dark brown, so I don't really know, but this is a velvety chocolate brown, and this is more of a textured beige. You'll see a theme here. I also went to Sundays, which is a furniture store that's not true. They're a furniture store that's Canadian based. I don't know where they're from in Canada, but Sunday's movie night couch was recommended to me from several people. I picked up two very, again, similar beige swatches. This one is Sunbeam. This one's Sunbeam. It's a little bit more tan, brown undertone. This one is Clay, a little more blue undertone. And then, as y'all saw, I went to Joybird, which was a place I wasn't expecting to go to, but I did also check out some of the more trendy places. I went to Cozy. They have a location in Venice, and I wasn't a big fan of their couches. I just felt like the quality was okay, not what I was looking for. I also went into Our House, which I would love Our House. I grew up with Our House Furnitures. They're an Ohio-based family-owned furniture company, and my mom had a ton of Our House furniture. They're just so expensive, but love Our House Furniture. Big place in my heart for them. That was out of the price range, so that was a no. I flirted with, what was the other one I was looking at? There's another trendy one, Cozy's, and can't remember the other one. Anywho, Joybird, ended up going there. Had a really pleasant experience. The sales associate was so helpful. He had a little bit of an anxious energy, but he was so helpful, and I appreciated that. Two, again, very similar swatches. This brown one is Resource Truffle. And then this beige one is Bloke Cotton. This is also boucle. And I had a boucle couch. It has a texture on it, which I think gives it some personality, where the brown one is just kind of cozy. The brown one reminds me of a sofa in a basement. You know what I mean? Like, it was once upstairs, now it's downstairs. It's so comfortable and you love sitting on it, but it just isn't together anymore. And not that this fabric isn't together, it gives me that like super loungy vibe. So I don't know, by the time this video goes live, I will need to have ordered a couch. LA. I wrote a few notes because I want to make sure I touch on some of the questions people have asked me, some clarification that maybe you're wondering, and some things that I really wanted to speak to in moving out here to LA. So honestly, I can't recall if I mentioned this in my last video, but I don't know if people know that I had been planning on moving from Chicago for a few years. So I moved to Chicago 9 years ago, and I moved there with a partner and ended up working at Northwestern University and then came into the fitness space. So my choice to move to Chicago was of course mine, but also I was dating someone and he had an opportunity and I wasn't planning to live in Cleveland longer than I needed to while I was taking care of my mom during that time. And I moved to Chicago, and it's been a really wonderful city to call home for the past 9 years. I really owe my success, my growth, my visibility in my industry to being in Chicago. I think I became a community leader and someone who represented fitness and wellness and diversity during a time where there weren't a lot of people who looked like me, and a lot of content being created in the fitness space for diverse communities. So Chicago loved me and raised me and gave me a lot of opportunities that I think in other major cities, I may have just been one of many versus one of one, if I'm being honest. So with that, the last 3 years, really everything, I'll say 3 years, really the last 2. After I ran my 6-day ultra marathon, my life just like really changed as far as the perspective I have on what I want for myself, where I want to be, the conversations I want to have, the life I want to live. And so the last 2 years, I have just felt like I've reached my capacity professionally and personally in Chicago. I'm someone who really thrives in new spaces. I love being challenged. I love feeling uncomfortable and then building confidence through experience to become comfortable. I think that's also one of the reasons why I travel. And there's nothing wrong with being in a place for a long time. And there's nothing wrong with familiarity and comfortability. But even when I moved to Chicago, after the first 3 years, 4 years, I suppose, and then when my sisters moved there, I told them, don't move to Chicago because of me, because I'm not staying. I've known for several years that Chicago wasn't going to be my forever home. It was, I don't want to say a stopover, but it was a necessary stop for me to grow. But it wasn't where I thought I would be. Now, if you were to ask me, well, Kayla, where is the place you thought you'd be? I don't know. I can't answer that either. But Chicago was one of those because I had moved with somebody and it wasn't my solo personal choice. I didn't think about what life could look like in Chicago, and it was wonderful. And I have so many great friends. But the plan, when I moved there, and then my partner and I at the time had broken up, obviously, and I started to forge my own way, my own path within the city, I realized that like this is not my forever home, but will forever be home to me. So for the past 2 years, I've felt it's time to leave. So at the end of 2024, I was looking at apartments. Early 2025, in January, the LA fires really devastated the city of LA. And with that, disrupted my search for an apartment because options became really slim. Everything that had become available had become taken up so people could have a place to live. And that delayed my move. And I told myself, give it a year. Give it 1 year from the fires, when leases may be up, when people are figuring out their actual next move, when things open up, to see if you still want to go to LA. So I stayed put in Chicago all of 2025, and I lived that year knowing I was moving. So yes, I was still traveling. Obviously, that's my work. But I was really intentional about who and where I spent my time. A lot of time with my sisters, a lot of time connecting with friends. I should have done more getting into the city. I still have not been to a lot of the museums. I was just like hanging out with my people in Chicago. And during that time, I also realized that a lot of my people, my close girlfriends, people who live in a way that inspires me, that I can relate to, that I can have honest conversations with, that we're on the same wavelength, like left the city. All of my people went on to the next adventure, the next expansion. And I found myself either hanging out with my sisters and my sisters' friends, who I all love and adore, or I was by myself. You know, this is me being very candid. So if you're viewing this, you're getting some honest reflection here. Chicago was home, but it also was a place that I worked, where when I stepped into any space, a reputation that I had built, and I'm very proud of, came with it. The fitness, wellness, diversity, confident, successful, does it all, figured it all out, at the top woman. And sometimes it was hard to turn that off, to feel I could just hang out without someone intentionally or unintentionally wanting to get my essentially mentorship on whatever they're experiencing or going through. I started to really read through the how are you doing convert questions and let's catch up as, hey, can I pick your brain? And I would love to know what you think about X, Y, and Z. I would love your advice. It was never explicitly said, but I just noticed a cadence of it over time. And I just felt like I couldn't just go hang out and be with people who were wanting to get to know me beyond my success. Now, I had friends in Chicago for sure, really, really lovely, wonderful friends. But I just noticed that the investment was different. I was extending a lot more than I was receiving, and that receiving didn't need to be monetarily or equitably even. I just felt like I was outpouring more than I was being poured into. And also with that, being someone who takes up space as a community leader and a curator and a host of different events and experiences, I rarely got to do just that experience, just sit back and be a participant. I didn't just get to, hang out like everyone else did. I was the one who had to bring the idea forward and gather the people. So I was just maxed out in Chicago of all of the things. And so when I was looking to move 2 years ago, I was considering LA and New York. My family's in New York. But those who've been to New York and entertained moving to New York and did not make the move, no. There's a window where New York is the glittery, most desirable thing in the world. I want to say it's like late 20s to early 30s where you're like, New York, let's do it. And I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity and the financial means, do it. There's no place in the world like New York City. But what I realized is I just was wanting a slower pace of life once I passed that window, which for me, I think was around like 32. I was like, yes, I'm moving to New York City. Then 2 years later, I reconsidered that, just given, what New York is and the grind and the grit, and it wasn't for me anymore. And despite my family being there, I have a lot of connections to LA, which I don't think a lot of people know. So me moving here is not random to me, but it might be random to people who watch my life or are in proximity to me. My dad went to USC. He played for the Rams. My mom and dad lived here when my sister Denise was born in Newport Beach. And my oldest sister, Aisha, and her mom's sister, my aunts, are still in California. So I have family and family history here in California, specifically within LA. I have some of my closest friends, as far as people who I have known for many, many years through various life stages, who I look up to a lot and have met also then throughout my life, live here in LA. So it feels nice to be back with them and being able to catch up and share life with them, especially because some of them are having babies. And then over the last few years when I've been training for races, whether it's my marathons or ultras, I came out to LA to train for the past 4 years in Santa Monica. My sister lived in Santa Monica. So I've gotten to know, run communities, run in clubs, run crews, made some nice relationships with people here in that space. And I think more broadly, when I'm looking at opportunities and what I want for my life, especially in this next adventure, is there's just more opportunities in Los Angeles in the health, wellness, fitness, speaking space. Chicago has its limitations as middle America with certain industries that are really shining and where opportunities are becoming more available. I think, Chicago has always been a place where brands test the market to see how ideas do, but eventually they do pull out, if I'm being honest. And that can be, I think, pretty strongly tracked from a lot of the major brands. And I still see it now. And so, I'm 36 years old. I'm looking to build further into my career. I'm not looking to plateau. And with that, I need more exposure to people, to spaces, to challenges. So LA just made sense. And when I announced that I was moving here, so many people called me courageous and brave, which I've been working with my therapist with this, which I'm back in therapy. After years of being away for no reason, I just stopped going to see my therapist. And then I got back into therapy because I was like, no, we're going through some life transition. It might be nice to have someone to walk with. So nothing's wrong, but I'm actively searching for mentorship and for wisdom and for guidance because it's something that I have been without for so long. Yes, from my parents, I suppose my therapist challenged me and said, well, did your parents provide that for you when they were alive? And I was like, no, they didn't. However, I also wasn't at the age to receive their guidance when they passed away. So it's both. But I will say that being called courageous and brave and making a move was something I did not anticipate. And I'm still wrapping my mind around why that is. I suppose when people look at my life, the assumption is that I have a lot of things figured out. And I don't. I'm very much just flying by the seat of my pants and saying yes to what feels good. I live a very aligned, value-based life, and I feel fortunate that in doing so, I've been able to build a life and call in opportunities that support me in that. Courageous, I suppose, to leave the familiar has been something I've done since I was young. I went to school at the University of Tennessee, not knowing anybody. I played overseas in Finland, not even knowing where Finland was on a map. I watched an Anthony Bourdain special to even get an inside look at what Finland looks like. I moved to Cincinnati for a job in coaching, having not spent much time in Cincinnati, but was dating someone who was there. Moved to Chicago, was dating someone in Chicago, but not knowing many people who were there. So the courage to leave the familiar is something that I've built as a strength over time. And I suppose the bravery to trust myself is something that comes with that as well. Someone asked me the other day, have you always been brave or courage? Or is that something that you had to learn or was built as a skill? And as I just mentioned, I think it's definitely a skill that maybe it's a trait that's been uncovered, because I am a recovering people pleaser. So much of my life was spent making sure other people were put first and that I didn't disappoint them or didn't let them down. And that would be at the expense of myself, of my own comfort, of my own instinct, of what felt good and right and aligned with me. And over the past few years, I've just really stopped that. I've realized, yes, there comes sacrifice for the people that you care about and for what's important to you, but it shouldn't come at the expense of who you are at your core and what feels good in your core. And so brave to be confident, brave to be trusting in myself. And I suppose, brave to know that it's all going to work out. The worst thing in this moment in life has already happened to me. Both my parents have passed away, but in their death, my life has only gotten even more abundant. I think they've put so many people and experiences and opportunities and so many things in my life to make it feel so full, and let myself know that you can go through hard things, but you still can find life and joy, that I have to trust it'll all work out, because it has worked out and it will continue to, but I have to just continue to trust that it will. So I suppose that's the confidence and where it comes from. So I'm just looking forward to everything the next at least 2 years, because LA 28 is very much on my mind. Very much on my mind. 2 years hold, the relationships with friends that I get to rekindle and deepen and meet new people and bring back my creative spark. I was just in such a rut in Chicago. I was just like, depleted energetically, creatively, emotionally, I even suppose. But to be back here and inspired by newness is just a fun time to explore and see what creatively I can get into. New routines. I'm 2 hours behind, which feels like I'm late, but it's also given me space to give myself grace for just enjoying a slow morning, because 5 a.m. here is 7 a.m. back in Chicago, and I was known as a 5 a.m. girl. It is what it is. New routes, getting to know the streets, whether it's driving or running, and a new identity. I get to decide who I want to be in LA. How do I want to be known? What reputation am I going to build upon, but then also establish? Because I have people here who know me, but it's going to be different. A lot of my reputation, at least in Chicago, and I think more broadly, is known as the running girl, which is funny because I come from a strength and performance background, and I was muscle mommy for so long, but as my content and my platform grew, I was running during that time. So here we are. But I am still fitness, I am still wellness, I am still running, I am still movement, I still am community. But it's who I am and not what I do. And the reason I say that is because I think there's a lot of performative hobbies right now on the internet. And I've struggled capturing content around my actual lifestyle and not for the camera. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'll come back to that another time, but I get to decide how I want to be known. And this is what I want to do more of. I want to do more speaking. I want to share more on my brain. I want to figure out how to wrap my experiences in my life and my reflections in a package of expertise to share with other people. So we're going to be having more yaps, hopefully on a couch next time. We're gonna be having more yaps because I really enjoy sitting here and unfolding a bit with all of you. So as I say at the end of every single video, thank you for being here. Y'all support really does mean the world to me. And even though I drag and I'm like, I'm so tired, just sitting down and talking is very cathartic for me. I hope you have some moments of reflection that you can take away for yourself and me sharing my own. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna keep showing up the best we can every single day, because that's all we can do. See you next time, friends.